Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome. It is round number 4 of the TSRC X oNiD iR-04 sprint. We have had a very exciting season so far, and I think that excitement is just going to be knocked up a notch as we now head to the Virginia International Raceway, a very difficult circuit that is very well known. They're catching a lot of drivers out, being very technical, very tricky. My name is Adam Reed. I'll be commentating all the action here for round 4 of the iR-04 sprint here live on the Sim Racing Collective. It's a 5-kilometer circuit here in North America. We have had 3 races in Europe. We head to North America. Then here is the calendar. Then we have the Snetterton circuit as the first round of the championship. What a round that was! I'm sure a lot of our drivers would have absolutely loved that round. Then it's going to be then it was Mugello to be in the middle of it, and then it was Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps last time around. So halfway into this championship, and we now find ourselves heading into the Virginia International Raceway, followed by the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which will be a single-day event. It will be tied alongside with the Suzuka Circuit. I, for one, can't wait. I'm sure a lot of viewers in the chat are very excited. And let's have a look at our championship contenders then. It is Noah Osbaldeston, championship leader on 122 points then. For the Drive Lounge Racing team, it is going to be Oliver Stone in second, with Zach Sweeney, an incident last time out at, of course, Spa-Francorchamps. He drops to third. Then it is our third place specialist, Craig Tordock, who did not get a third place last time out at Spa-Francorchamps. Unfortunately, a couple of places back for him. Yeah, and it was Wenzel in fifth, followed by Ben Crook, Ian Ranking. Yeah, Wenzel did not have a good Spa-Francorchamps either. Bart Raven in eighth had a decent one last time out. Nick Clemens in ninth, Tom Davidson in 10th, Andrew Pike now in 11th, Bobby Moss in 12th, Reece Saunders in 13th, and it's the Scotsman of Hayden Miller and Louis Lopez. Harry Shaw will be the 16th driver to cap off our pros. What about our amateurs, you ask? Well, it's Josiah Annis, who leads by a significant margin to Will Ellis. And it's going to be Alex Richards in third. 2 of the AF Biscotti teammates. What can they do? In second and third, Josh Hodson, followed by Harry Mason, with Lenny Hansen and Thomas E. Lowe. Paul Smith, followed by James Stone Radford, Tony Preston, and Thomas Martin. Eden Howard for the oNiD Racing team. He's down there in 12th with Danny Morrison. Jay Walsh with Cameron Homewood, managing to get himself off the board after his debut last time out to Spa. Then it's Gareth Ronda. He didn't compete for the Cracked Racing team with Ben Holmes, Garrett Page, and Simon Norton, who rounds off our 19 cars in the amateurs. A couple have switched from the pros to the amateurs, I can confirm. But now we have a look at the racetrack here at Virginia International Raceway. So we're currently having a look now with number 24. Oswaldson has been really solid in his last few events. It has just been the Noah Osbaldeston show, in all honesty. He's been a furiously rapid driver. You know, he takes 4 wins in the last 4 races. Didn't even compete at Snetterton, which makes it even more wild. So, you know, he will be looking for a big opportunity. And look at that, he's already going purple in a few sectors. This is cut up into 6 sectors compared to the normal 3. I don't know if that's the same condition as the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, because in fact they are heading to this circuit next week, but it's only the GT cars. It is only the GT cars that will be heading to the Virginia International Raceway then. We are now right on board with the Altitude 3M esports driver of Oliver Stone. Now, let's say here, because this is some of the best parts about this circuit. It's called the Snake, I believe. Yeah, it is just a flat section of A and B corners. Then you head in towards turn 7. This is 8A into 8B. Then you go into turn 9 here. Then you head over the crest, down the hill, through turn 10 at the south bend, down a hill once again before rising back up hard on the brakes and then in toward the double right-hander of turn 11 and Oak Tree turn 12. So that is just some of the type of corners you are going to be getting. Now, we head down the back straight and on towards turn 13 and 14. This is part is called the roller coaster you're coming up to. This is some really, really tricky sequence of corners that I have seen a couple of cars before go side by side and not ending well. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've seen a full-on punt here. You know, it's iRacing, so you know, anything really, anything kind of goes in this case. Well, I shouldn't say that because you know there will definitely be suspensions handed out if I just see cars being absolutely sideswiped to Narnia. But through the quick section of the final part of the circuit, through the hog pen and on toward the front straight, it's 18 corners. You head your way to the line. This little right kink hit, that's turn 18. That's marked as turn 18 on the circuit. But Oliver Stone up to the line, and he will be 7/10 adrift of Noah Osbalderson. It just seems like Osbalderson is being able to settle into the circuit. You know, some drivers may see this as a struggle circuit. Some may see it as a positive. 23 cars will be out on the circuit, which will make it, I believe, 11 rows plus 1, which will be a very lonely row. And at the moment, that's being held by Thomas Lowe. Danny Morris still hasn't put in a lap time. That's Josiah Annis for the Drive Lounge Racing Team. Finally, we've had the team name changed. That has always been Privateer for so long, and now it's finally gracefully changed. And that's Josiah Annis. Just as I was happy about his changing of the team name, he's had a bit of an accident into that spare pit lane on the back straight. That has been a not a good moment there for Mr. Josiah Annis. This is Bobby Moss. Everyone is coming up to the line then to complete their final lap time. So I think the last driver across the line should realistically be Aidan Howard down in 21st place for the oNiD Racing Team. Here is Bobby Moss then over the line P11. Can he put himself up into the top 10? No, he can't. He gets topped there by James Radford for the Dogs. And what a lap there for Radford, going and doing a 150.9. Noah Osbalderson, 7/10 of a second clear. That's night and day. 149.6 for him. Janos Wenzel goes third onto the second row. Goes above the Drive Lounge Racing driver of Zach Sweeney. What about Tony Preston then over the line? Stays 20th. Here is Zach Sweeney in the number 25 car. He's got to do this left-hander followed by Hogpen. I'm surprised Zach Sweeney's here because he's got a couple of notes to write ahead of this weekend's ABB FIA Formula E World Championship finale in London. So good on you, Zach. I'll see you there. Sweeney over the line. Stays fourth fastest, doesn't improve, so lost half a tenth there at some point during this lap. Aidan Howard stays 21st. Bobby Moss is around. What about Alex Richards here? Alex Richards in 6th then, so he's managed to do yet another lap turn with a minute left to go. Remember, once that hits that 1 minute mark, he is going to be out of the running. So this is going to be a chase against time here for Alex Richards, for the AF Biscotti driver. Where is his teammate? I believe not here. No, it's Will Ellis. Will Ellis, 15th for the moment. So he is going to be down there on that eighth row of the grid. As Alex Richards is really fighting this car, putting it up in the lofty heights of the third row of the grid. He'll be alongside Tom Davidson, who had a solid run of performances. Of course, looking at Alex Richards, he didn't turn up last time out at Spa-Francorchamps, but he's only had one top 10, and that was the second race at Mugello. So for a decent season so far for Alex Richards, if you want to know what he's doing in his class, he's taken three podiums, a third, a second, and a second. Didn't make it to the line, but I have no doubt Alex Richards will be happy with his with his places. Right, here's the grid then. It's going to be Noah Osbaldiston on pole position by an emphatic over 6.5 tenths to Oliver Stone. Then it's the German, Janos Wenzel, in third place ahead of Zach Sweeney and Tom Davidson. Alex Richards will be in sixth, followed by Josiah Annis and James Radford, with Nick Clibbins and Josh Hodson in 10th. Ian Rankin will be in 11th. He'll be alongside Bobby Moss in P12. Cameron Homewood comes in for his second round of the championship. He lines up in 13th. He'll be joined at the 7th row by Jay Walsh. Then it's going to be Will Ellis, followed by Lenny Hansen on the next row of the grid with Ben Holmes. And then it's going to be Paul Smith, Harry Mason and Tony Preston on row 10, with row 11 being filled by Aidan Howard for oNiD Racing and Thomas E. Lowe. 12th row of the grid, it is the lone driver of Danny Morris. Never got a lap time in, did the Briton, but he'll be hoping to just stay out of trouble. So, we've got a 15-minute race ahead of us. There is the number 24 of Noah Osbaldiston, lining up on that pole position spot, as he will now look to try and put himself into an even further championship lead, currently with 4 wins and a 6 to his name, and even then never competed at the Snetterton round. So I really look forward to seeing what can Osbaldiston do. Altitude 3M Esports have been very competitive as well. Janos Wenzel, another driver. He had a really poor Spa-Francorchamps. Did Janos Wenzel, had a massive difficulty. DNF'd in the first round, and then with all the chaos, only mustered up an 11th place. And then you have Zach Sweeney in behind, who's been, you know, a strong driver so far, but hasn't taken a win since pretty much the first race of the season at Snetterton. So he's having to try and claw something back. But first a second, and then a second. Clutches in, build the revs, watch for the lights, and we go racing. It's a decent start there from Noah Osbaldiston, immediately cutting off into second. Goes the Altitude 3M Esports driver of Oliver Stone. They'll head their way in towards the first corner here on cold brakes, on cold tyres, so it'll be really tricky to try and negotiate this first section. Janos Wenzel continues to try and put on pressure onto the Briton, but they head their way now down in towards the next couple of corners through NASCAR Bend and in toward the left hook of turn 4A and turn 4B. There is Jay Wall sitting side by side with another driver as they head their way. One of the AF Biscotti cars of Will Ellis trying to climb a couple of places, but there's been a bit of contact, and I think that is the Biscotti driver. I know Preston, I think, got involved as well, but it does seem to be Will Ellis and Aidan Howard have been up in that little tangle. Paul Smith continuing, but at a bit of a slower rate. Here is Zach Sweeney then looking to be put under pressure by Tom Davidson for the Sim Racing Collective Esports. So heading their way now on toward the back straight. There goes the toe brake from Noah Osbaldiston. He's got to really try and push out something here, as Janos Wenzel will look to now start a bit of a train, with Zach Sweeney being the first one behind him. So wonder how this is going to all turn out. Sweeney now looks to the outside line, but of course he's going to be very careful. He's right in the middle of 2 cars, and Tom Davidson has really tried to find the opportunities. He's just sitting in there for now. It's the opening lap of the race. No need to make any silly mistakes. It is just all about trying to push your way forward on toward the front straight now for the first time. Janos Wenzel now having to look in his mirror, sits in the middle of the circuit. Zach Sweeney has to back off on that one, but now a little bit wide for Janos Wenzel, allows both cars to go on through. Tom Davidson being squeezed there by Janos Wenzel on toward the outside line, and through he heads on towards third place. Good stuff from Zach Sweeney, and hopefully he will be wanting to make up from his second race Spa misdemeanor of being, I think it was punted right at Lecombe chicane. So now he's going to now try and chase down not just Norris Bolston, but also Oliver Stone. But here comes Wenzel there in the tow, but this is not the best place to be making a move. Most places gained up 3 for Nick Clibbons up into 6, so that's quite significant. And a bit less significant, but it's up 4 for both Thomas Lowe and Danny Morris from close to the back of the field. I think Thomas Lowe was on the penultimate row of the grid. So here we go then with Janos Wenzel. Doesn't seem to be able to make his way through just yet, but we'll have to see if he can maybe try something down the back straight. But again, it's a 15-minute race. You really want to be trying something in these earliest stages. Oh, there's almost interlocking wheels of Wenzel and Sweeney. Sweeney allows him to go back through, but I think that'll be a little bit of annoyance on the face of the Briton. The German will sweep back on through and is pretty much back to square one at this point. So now no changes to the top 5. Nick Clibbons looks to be pretty quick as well. He's just sitting in behind his the Sim Racing Collective Esports teammate of Tom Davidson. So we'll have to see how they do. Meanwhile, the amateurs are going at it. It's Alex Richards hoping for a win here. Josiah Annis comes into this as a fourth. Well, it hasn't won the last 4 races because he had a DNF last time at Spa, but has won the last 4. The last 4 races in 5. So hopefully that stat made sense. You know what I'm trying to say, but yes. Also has taken 6 races, has taken 5 podiums, so strong stuff from Josiah Annis. But yeah, Alex Richards is hoping for his first class victory, which is going to be a massive smile to his face. He's also being followed here by James Radford, but we're currently now moving away from this battle because you're seeing the oNiD racing car. Here is Jay Woolsden right in behind. This is the battle for 13th, 14th, 15th. Hodson ahead of Holmes. He's onto the grass, and Hodson will relinquish that place unless he gets uber aggressive on toward the inside of 11 and on towards 12. And then you see there the Dogs car of Harry Mason coming up behind. So Mason now into the tow here. Is he going to go on the outside line? If he does go for the outside line, which he does have that slight chance that he could receive a big old whack to the side by Ben Holmes. But they're side by side. The oNiD racing driver still looking good so far. There's contact, and that sees Holmes off. There goes Mason as well, and that's going to see them tumble down the order. There was a car sitting on the left-hand side as well. I'm not entirely sure who that was. I'm looking and seeing Ian Rankin going down. So has he had a spin as well? Yes, he has had a spin. Someone's making their way into the pit lane, then it seems. But yeah, massive wild moments for a couple of drivers. Meanwhile, the lead has changed in the amateurs, and it's now Josiah Annis. Now James Radford, they've made contact. So let's have a look, see what's happened to Alex Richards then. Down in towards the first corner. Oh, the rear's going round, it's going round. Oh my goodness me, Josiah Annis having the reactions of a cat. And a brilliant moment there for Annis. Let's have a look and see what happened with Annis, because he definitely made contact with Alex Richards. I think he went round. There is a car off, but I don't think that actually might be the Drive Lounge Racing car. I think that might be the Drive Lounge Racing car. But we'll have a look here with Holmes. There's a car just sitting on the left-hand side there. We'll have a look at who that is. Just a bit of interlocking wheels. There goes Holmes off onto the grass, along with Harry Mason. And it's just starting to get a little bit touchy. Then you see the smoke on the left-hand side there. That's from Ian Rankin having a moment. So it's really started to kick off here at Virginia. Now we're having a look here at Paul Smith. So this was earlier on in the first lap. There's a T-bone there. He tries to start, gets contact on the front right. Wheel comes off on the front left. And that's super unfortunate. You see there at the bottom of your screen there, buried in the barrier was Aidan Howard. He is now out of this race. But here is Josiah Annis, who now sits in... Josiah Annis now down in 18th. So, Yes, definite contact was made there. Oh, hopefully we'll get a replay in just a moment of what happened to him. 7.5 minutes left to go. This has gone like clockwork in terms of how quick this has gone through. So Sweeney back up into third. It's Wenzel from Davidson from Clibbins. So the top from third down to sixth here, still batting away. The amateur race leader now is going to be Cameron Homewood. Here then goes Josiah Annis, so it's not down in towards NASCAR Bend. Onto the south corner. Oh! I think that was... who was that, in fact? It's one of the Cyan cars. It's James Radford. So Radford just tried to go up the inside. The rear was all over a place. It more resembled a mop on a wet floor than a race car. But that was super unfortunate. They're both now sitting 18th and 19th. We look here to Lenny Hansen for the wheelchair racing team, the blue and white car. He's fighting for a top 10 place, is Lenny Hansen. So he'll be hoping to get the best out of this one. Yeah, of course, Lenny Hansen has had a decent time so far. But this is the battle for the lead then. Noah Osbalderson under a bit of pressure from Oliver Stone. Stone will be trying to get his first win of the campaign. He so far has had 4 second places in this season with the 2 fastest laps. That just shows the consistency of Oliver Stone. And yeah, I believe after Mugello, he would have been leading the championship if it weren't for the drop scores. Well, I think the drop scores have been added on. But we still go side by side here. Now Stone will be looking for that outside line. He's got his nose just ahead, but with that inside line, will now just be making his way. We spoke to the 2 Drive Lounge racing drivers last time around. They said it is just going to be a circuit based all around about towing. So, you know, there'll be a tow here, tow there, tow everywhere. And now we get to this moment in time where we've got 5 minutes remaining and we've got a potential titanic battle going on. We've got Osbalderson and Stone batting away. Then you've got Sweeney, Wenzel and Davidson. I think if you're Zach Sweeney, you must be in a really difficult place here. We'll get onto it in a moment why. Because here it comes Oliver Stone. I imagine this is going to be big potential for a chance for the race lead. Will he do it down in towards 11? I think that it might spell a little bit of desperation if Stone wants to do it down in towards 11. But here we go then, in towards the double right hand who doesn't decide to attack. And now look what he's caused. It is now Osbalderson from Stone, from Sweeney, all separated by 0.8 of a second. Bringing into the battle Wenzel, then it's Davidson, Clibbins, and I think also, yeah, that's the entirety of it. 6 drivers involved in the battle. That is Bobby Moss then. He's had a little bit of an incident, but we'll stick with it for now. I'm sure we can show the replays a little bit later. Maybe even after the race, but here comes Osbalderson down in towards the roller coaster of 14 through 15, and now it's getting serious. It is crunch time, and I think if you are Drive Lounge Racing, you've really got to apply pressure at this point. You've got to do something. You've got a little bit of food to play with, and that little bit of food is Oliver Stone. You can get another 1-2 at this point in time, but you've got to be very, very strategic with what you do. Stone to the outside line. Sweeney will attack, and I think that's a little bit of a slow up there from Osbalderson, trying to allow his teammate into the gap. Sweeney will fight it on the outside line, but with that inside 4 NASCAR Bend going in the way of Oliver Stone, but back up the inside goes Sweeney. He's desperate for the move. He is trying to just wiggle off Stone from the back of Osbalderson. That number 11 car is looking this way, that way, all over the road. Here comes Sweeney, looking at that outside line. He knows he's not going to be able to get a move on here, but through he heads, through the left, through the right, through the left, and on towards this next section, in towards turn 9 and through South Bend of 10. Chucking the car in, using all the mechanical aerodynamics of the car. But Janos Wenzel's going to be wanting a move here. He knows what's going to be happening. He's been analysing that for the last lap. 2 minutes 45 left of this sprint race here at Virginia International Raceway. Sweeney will potentially look for the outside line, or is he going to try and go inside? Because Stone is not going very defensive. He's just running his line. Over the crest they go. There is no Osbalderson giving toe to his teammate. This is exactly working like clockwork. But again, up the inside, trying to throw that car into space is Oliver Stone. A little bit wide, almost contact between the two. They're going to go side by side into Hogpen. Not the best idea. Onto the outside for Zach Sweeney. He's now going to try and cut his way onto the main straight, but I think he's been slowed a little bit. So have a look at the background for Janos Wenzel. Wenzel's going to keep on that inside line. He's got a double toe here. Now, have a look here at Tom Davidson. Davidson on the outside line. How many places can he pick off? I think it might be just the one if he can carry the speed through. It's 2 by 2 in the battle for second. Osbalderson is just trying to maintain his way of keeping his teammate in front. And speaking of his teammate, Zach Sweeney, with that inside line of turn 4A, will grab P2 by the scruff of the neck. Onto the exit now. Oliver Stone will look to try and respond to Zach Sweeney's overtake. We ride on board with Tom Davidson, so we get a first-class ticket to this battle between the front two, or well, I should say three. It's more of a two-car battle for second place. Through they head in towards South Bend, turn number 10. Really trying to use absolutely everything, riding the curb there. Like Tony Hawk was Tom Davidson. In towards turn 12 they go. Off the exit. Who's got the best run? Janos Wenzel, of course, dropping to 5th place in all of this. So he's got to try and get something out of this one for his kind of resurrection of a very disappointing spot. I'm sure he'll be using in the drop round. Now we head in towards the roller coaster. Noah Osbalderson has romped down the road over 2.5 seconds and up into second. Now goes Oliver Stone. I think now Osbalderson has just realized I've got to romp down the road. I am not going to allow anything to happen between me and my teammate. I know he's quick. I'm just going to let him sort it out. So I'm sure Zach Sweeney is going to be looking with a big old smile on his face, because he knows he's having a great battle. In fact, I think, is that Osbalderson slowing up? Or is that gap just... I feel like that's just decreased by a couple of tenths. But now, with this last lap of the race then, Sweeney to the outside line. He's going to defend there as well from Tom Davidson. This is superb stuff. Unreal racing between the lot of them. But in towards the left-hander of NASCAR Bend, and then on towards the left hook. A little bit of a wide moment there for Janos Wenzel. They'll head their way through 4A and 4B, trying to pick off anything they possibly can. Osbalderson is well into the lead of this one, with Oliver Stone just sitting in second. Zach Sweeney is giving himself a little bit of toe, as well as a little bit of space to be able to latch on to the back of Oliver Stone, because he doesn't want to be following him the entire way, because that could result in a major incident. And you're just seeing, even through the snaking section, how much he's gaining on that number 11. Oh, here comes Janos Wenzel off the road. He goes onto the left-hand side. He's found the tyre barrier. He's lost the nose, and he's now got a flailing left tyre. Is he going to be able to turn the car? Not really. But now we look back here to the battle for second, for third, and for fourth, because Tom Davidson might have a say in all of this. Nick Clibbons is just lurking in the background as well if these go wrong. In towards the roller coaster of turn 13, in towards 14. I thought Sweeney was looking for a move there, but evidently wasn't. This is going to be a run to the line. But for Noah Osbalderson, it is clean as you like. He romped off down the road at the perfect moment. It's going to be the drive for 5 for Noah Osbalderson. I'm sure he'll be chatty about that one. Osbalderson take the win in VIR. Oliver Stone will hold on for second, and it'll be Zach Sweeney for third, Davidson for fourth, Clibbons for fifth, Wenzel for sixth, and there is, actually no, it will be Clibbons for fifth. It will be Walsh for sixth, and the winner of our amateur. That should have gone completely under my radar. Ian Rankin will come home 7th. Wenzel limps home for 8th. Richards finishes in 9th, with Harry Mason, remember, got caught up in an incident earlier on in the race, and will now find himself at the top 10. It's Hansen for 11th. It's Lowe for 12th. And there is Josiah Annis, what could have been for the Drive Lounge Racing driver. He'll come home in 16th. My goodness, that's going to be a bit of heartbreak, I think, for Josiah. He would really hope for more. Cameron Homewood would hope to a little bit more, I think, as well, as he goes drifting across the line. And now we have to wait for no, Danny Morris has crossed the line. It has registered him as crossing the line. But what an amazing 10 laps we had at the Virginia International Raceway. Now, here we go. We have to wait for Aiden Howard to find the line. He's having a little bit of fun, isn't he, Aiden? I think here, speaking to him the day before, he was saying, yeah, VIR is going to be a bit of fun. It wasn't a lot of excitement in his voice, and it's clear to see why. So he comes over the line, crashes his machine out of pure frustration. But that is your results then. So, well, what an incredible race that was. It's Noah Osbalderson who takes another victory. It's Oliver Stone in second and Zach Sweeney taking another podium to his name. Tom Davidson will finish home in fourth, with Nick Clibbins in fifth and Jay Walsh in sixth. Ian Rankin managing to grab a P7 just behind our amateur winner, with Janus Wenzel in P8. Then we find Alex Richards in ninth, followed by Harry Mason and Lenny Hansen. Try saying that back to back, with Thomas Lowe and Ben Holmes. Then we find Josh Hodson and James Radford. Josiah Annis down in 16th. Tony Preston will be in 17th. Cameron Homewood for 18th. Will Ellis will be in 19th. Danny Morris with a lap down, as well as Will Ellis. Then we find Paul Smith, who of course got involved in that accident in those very early stages. And then it will be Aiden Howard in 22nd place. And a retirement there. The only retirement of the day is going to be Bobby Holmes. I should say Bobby Holmes? Bobby Moss, my apologies. But yeah, that is going to be your results. The 23 drivers that took to the grid. One of them not making it to the line. So we're currently in the warm-up phase. We're halfway through. But yeah, what a really exciting one that was. I think really positive for a lot of them. Only one sitting in the pit lane is Ian Rankin. So he thinks he's good to go. But yeah, that was a superb action. Really enjoyable. I think there was a lot to kind of take away from that one. You know, especially really thinking about how much battle was there. You know, really being able to see that the tow was incredibly strong. So really enjoyed kind of all the opportunities that we had. So with 40 seconds left to go, I'm sure that we will be able to get an even better race. You could remember the top 10 does get reversed ahead of the next race. So I imagine that this should be even more exciting. So we now take down to those last couple of moments before heading into the reverse grid race. And yes, whoever was 10th there would get that reverse grid pole. Checker flag then. Nobody out on the circuit according to my timing screen. So we will head to the grid in just a moment. We're just changing over now. This is going to take a little bit of time, but yeah, I think if you're looking for drivers to look out for, definitely Janus Wenzel. He'll be hoping for a little bit of redemption. I think Tom Davison was really quick. You know, do not forget about him whatsoever. I think Noah Osbalderson will be, you know, it's a 25-minute race. You will see Noah Osbalderson into the top 2 by the 12th minute mark. It's gonna happen. So here at the grid then is Harry Mason for the dogs in P1. Alex Richards in second, followed by Janus Wenzel and Ian Rankin. Jay Walsh will be in 5th, followed by Nick Clibbens, as Tom Davidson will be in 7th. He'll be alongside Zach Sweeney. Then it's going to be Oliver Stone and Noah Osbaldeston, a very, very quick 5th row of the grid. Row 6 will be Lenny Hansen, followed by Thomas Lowe. And then it's going to be Ben Holmes, followed by Josh Hodson. James Stone Radford will be in 15th, with Josiah Annis in P16. Tony Preston, alongside Cameron Homewood, will be in 17th and 18th. Let's go to row 10 then. Is Will Ellis alongside Danny Morris, with Paul Smith in 21st and Aiden Howard in 22nd. He'll be hoping by using, the back row of the grid, he can just about stay out of trouble. But that didn't happen last time, but he'll work on it. Bobby Moss will be the last driver, 23rd on the 12th row of the grid then. And we wait for the lights to come on. We're still missing 1 or 2 drivers on this one. It looks like we are still missing Sweeney, Osbaldeston. We're missing Aiden Howard at the back there. No Howard, no party, I say. So yeah, we are just waiting for 3 more drivers. One of them is set to be, I believe, Zach Sweeney down in P8. So there is the lone car of Harry Mason from the Dogs Racing team. Alex Richards alongside him for the Biscotti, for the AF Biscotti team. But here we go. It clutches him. Build the revs. Watch for the lights. For the second time at VAR, we go racing. It's a good start there for Harry Mason, but a decent start from Ian Rankin. Now we look to that outside line. Look at Jonas Wenzel hoping to make a vengeance here. Round the outside goes the German driver, and he'll try and get the traction here. It's 2x2 heading in towards NASCAR Bend for the first time. There goes Jonas Wenzel up the inside path, the amateur of Harry Mason, and it seems like Harry Mason now has to look on his left-hand side, because here comes Ian Rankin to try and make a move. They're really just becoming so compact. It's like the start of a Formula E race, and Zach Sweeney will know exactly what that looks like, as he's going to be covering them this weekend. Oh, look how much they're fanning out here. There is Tom Davidson right in behind. They flip their way up the hill and on towards this next sequence of corners through 6, and then on towards turn 7A, and then turn 7B, and then they'll head their way through turn 9 and 10. They head through 11, and they're just trying to find whatever possible space they have. Noah Osbaldeston up the inside then of Tom Davidson. That was a nice clean move there. And I think he's going to start communicating with Zach and just say, let's just start working together here. Let's make our way through the field together. We've got a big opportunity to grab a 1-2 here. We know how quick we are, but I think Zach Sweeney is just going to try and see if he can go his own way. But Osbaldeston is just a racing driver. He will do whatever he possibly can. And there goes the number 11 of Oliver Stone. Through he goes up into P8. So the Drive Lounge racing drivers need to start working together then. Oliver Stone is going to be right at the back here. And here is the rest of them. Oh, that's going to be Danny Morris coming across the field as contact. Oh, that's going to be the other AF Biscotti driver. And I think that's going to be Will Ellis. Will Ellis getting absolutely sideswiped there, as Tony Preston is now side by side with the number 3 of Cameron Homewood. Homewood, oh, a bit of contact between the two. Preston was just left on the outside there. And even then, Homewood just going to bury that car into him. There is Josiah Annis trying to see if he can find his way to the lead of the amateurs. But it's not been a good day so far. Currently down in 6th for the in the amateur class. 13th overall. He's going to have to make a big roar if he wants to be able to take his way to another win in the amateurs. It's going to be only a chink in the armour after this one. Look at the background there. You can see the oNiD racing driver of Ben Holmes there as well. He is looking very, very strong so far. Ben Holmes has only gone down 1 place, but it could have been worse. This could have been -4 for Thomas Lowe. He's now down in 16th. We now look back to the forefront of the field. Jonas Wenzel's hoping to get himself into some free space, but it's still a long, long way to go. Now we ride on board here with Alex Richards. So 1 lap ago, we had the AO Piscotti car of Will Ellis getting hit by Danny Morris. Now we have the other one going for what is essentially second place. And there we go. Alex Richards is still in second. But Janos Wenzel is just hoping to continue extending that lead, which is not what Alex Richards wants, because he's now leading a whole train here. There is Osbalderson, there is Sweeney. These two need to start working together, but of course they need to be careful about what's going on in behind. Look at this side by side, so the two drive lounge cars are now going to be completely boxed in. How's your braking power, Zach Sweeney? Oh, he tries up the inside, but he's going to be having to back out of that one potentially. Right on the outside line is the Dogs Racing car of Harry Mason. Mason in third, and there goes the Sim Racing Collective driver of Nick Clibbons. He's going backwards, rear wingless. Oh, don't get hit, don't get hit. Oh, it's an absolute horrible situation. And how on earth he's not got hit, I have no idea. I've just put my hand all over my face in just utter confusion of how on earth that's happened. But Osbalderson's now going to be carrying a little bit of damage, I think. He's now handed the place over to Oliver Stone, but he knows how Oliver Stone works it. Is he going to try up the inside of 11? We're just staring down the barrel. There's contact between Osbalderson and Tom Davidson. So Tom Davidson said, oh, you're going to wipe out my teammate? Well, take that. And I think Osbalderson thought that was a little bit pathetic, but he'll try and continue. But what is the aero damage looking like on Osbalderson? You can see it's a little bit bent to the downwards in that right-hand side of his front wing. So that will just make Osbalderson struggle. There is a huge potential here. Every minute that ticks by, Janos Wenzel has a huge opportunity then to take what could be a huge moment in this race. We are expecting to have about 17, 18 laps to this race, so we're barely into this race so far. And there goes Zach Sweeney now, looking up the inside of the Dogs Racing car of Harry Mason. This time he's made a clean move, as well as Noah Osbalderson. So that damage to the left side of Osbalderson's front wing is seemingly a bit pathetic. But there, back up the inside goes Mason. I think now Noah Osbalderson saying to his teammate, well, you know, if you're just going to be battling with Mason at this point, I've got to go and do something, because I have a big opportunity to win this race here. There is I think that's going to be Tony Preston potentially. I'm not too sure, but that was one. I think that's Danny Morris. Now here we go, side by side up the hill. This is going to get a little bit touchy. Mason on the right hand side of your picture. Zach Sweeney on the left, and now that's going to be switching through 10-10. They go. Again, what do you do if you're Zach Sweeney in this case? You've got to just make the move stick and try and just force out your opponent there. He's ridden the curve like an absolute pro as Harry Mason. Now, this could go 3 wide here. I think what it's actually doing is Osbalderson's giving a bump draft. This is unbelievable. This happened last time out of Spa-Francorchamps, but it just showed the trust between the two drivers. 3 wide, almost 4 wide, I think. Here comes Oliver Stone. There's a little bit of contact. One goes round. There goes Osbalderson. And that's going to be a huge moment. There's 2 cars coming upon each other. Oh, my goodness me. Who was that? Oh, Cameron Homewood gets met with a face full of Lenny Hansen. And this just continues. Race 2 carnage continues once again. Unbelievable. Who's going off in the background there? So it's Zach Sweeney up against Oliver Stone. And Stone manages to get through onto the 3rd place. It has not been the weekend for Drive Lounge. And to make things worse, I believe Zach Sweeney will not be here next time during what is essentially going to be a double round. Of course, like we spoke about in the very beginning of this broadcast, they will head to Montreal. Then they will head to Suzuka in the same night here. So, this is what happened then. We've got a 3 wide moment between Clibbons. think, just slows up. And that is where Osbalderson hits him. I think so. Just broke too early to Osbalderson's liking. That could have been that was a big old hit. Now what happens here? I'm gonna have to point a finger here, I think, and I don't really want to be doing that. Look at the bottom of your picture, but yeah, I think there's somebody a little bit more at fault than others. This is Jay Walsh then, I believe the number 16 in the middle of your picture, and yeah, just gets clipped by one. And then, actually, yeah, no, Walsh is the one on the white card. Then you see Cameron Homewood getting a face full of race car. And then the damage becomes very apparent for Jay Walsh. Back with the live action then. Wenzel still leads by a lead of 3 seconds to Alex Richards. Oliver Stone up into third. I think Zach Sweeney, I wonder if he's either, you know, not lacking a little bit of pace or something else is going on. Here comes Ben Holmes. He's going to find his way up to P10 for the oNiD Racing team, but in behind, I think that's going to be Bobby Moss potentially. It is right on the rear end of the number 500. Moss goes to the outside then. Oh, they locked their way through. Hodson was also trying to think of an opportunity to go through, but just couldn't quite find it. So heading their way in towards NASCAR Bend, and that should be Ben Holmes. And it is Ben Holmes for now. We're 10 minutes into this 25-minute race, so we're starting to get to that halfway stage of this race. So it's Wenzel from Richards, from Stone from Sweeney, with Davidson, Rankin, Osbalderson and Radford, Mason and Holmes round out your top 10. Alex Richards currently remains second overall. Could he find himself getting an overall podium out of all this? You know, Richards hasn't had the best. Oh, there's a spinner. It's the 24 of Ian Rankin. I saw 24. It's the 248. Rankin will drop a place. He drops 2 places, maybe even down another one. But yes, from 6th down to 9th for Ian Rankin. And that's going to be a bit of a shot at the foot for himself. Sweeney with front wing damage. It does seem like for now he's still sitting in the wheel tracks of Oliver Stone. Stone has been really competitive so far. This is on board then with Ian Rankin, the 248, in toward the first corner. The rear's already starting to step out. And it just goes round. And I think part of the reason why, I don't know why I didn't note this earlier, track temperature, 46.6 degrees. That's very warm. That's almost Mugello levels of warm. We had quite a cool Spa-Francorchamps. And it's just this kind of moment of, you know, we're back to warm temperatures. How are the next 2 races going to go for the final round of the championship? Here comes Bobby Moss then in the Sim Racing Collective Esports car. He's trying to attack for P10 on Bobby Holmes, and I was talking about things could be getting worse for the Sim Racing for Driveland, because I remember Zach Sweeney saying that he won't be here, I think, for one of the rounds. I believe this might be the last round then. So that will be a little bit of demoralisation, but we'll keep an eye out for if he is doing it. In fact, I'll probably ask him in person and get back to you for that one. But yeah, we'll move our way down towards turns 11 and 12, and Moss has got through on Holmes then. So really brave move between the two. And Bobby Moss, I think, is just, you know, putting in his, really pulling his weight, I think, for this one. He's been really strong so far this season. Moss has been really strong, an 8th and 7th and 7th, and he's constantly improving. Is he? Here comes Alex Richards now. Oliver Stone gave him a little bit of a fright there. So he's hoping to try and keep defensive, but now he's dropping to 4th place here. Zach Sweeney is going to go on through. There goes Tom Davidson, so from 2nd down to 5th. And it's just starting to get ripped away from him. So he had the opportunity to get that overall podium, but one little snap, one little bit of pressure, and he has chucked it down to P5. Oh, Noah Osbalderson's had a moment. Noah Osbalderson's out of the race. I wonder if he's just called it quits. I wonder if he just thought the aero balance is not that good. So he's gone from the drive to 5, and he's going to have to reset them. A DNF for championship leader Noah Osbalderson. Has he lost the car himself? Oh, yeah, he's just given up. That's either equipment... Wow, that was a big old smash. That's either equipment failure or... yeah, it's either equipment failure or I've given up. I'm not in the tow anymore. Through they head then. This is Harry Mason. In towards turn number 11. Having to go defensive to Ian Rankin. Rankin has been really, really good so far this season. It has been really up and down in his results, but that third place at Spa-Francorchamps must have done wonders to his confidence. Before that, it was a top 6. A 6th place at Mugello that he's managed to get, but Rankin will pull his way up to 7th. His third best results going into the weekend. And Harry Mason will now drop to 8th place then. But let's have a look back up at the front of the field. I want to have a look at Janos Wenzel because, well, never mind, because this is going on. This is going to be Oliver Stone under a bit of pressure from Zach Sweeney. Sweeney sends it to the inside. Tom Davidson had the fastest lap of the race. The only driver in the 149.9s. So that is a really, really good lap. So unless Osbalderson's done, no, he's only done a 50.2. So there we go. Sweeney up to 2nd place with 9 minutes 40 left to go. Gap up front, 4 seconds. Here is Janos Wenzel heading his way. I don't want to say it because the commentator's curse is very much a real thing. Ladies and gentlemen, any commentators out there, it is very much a real thing. There's I understand you can have confidence in a driver, but this is not the time to be given a commentator's curse. So battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th continues to rage on. I think Sweeney is at the moment here where I just think he's got to try and push on forward. He has the pace to catch Janos Wenzel, but every single time he is just dragging Oliver Stone along with him. And it's not what he needs at all. Down through the crests and on toward the roller coaster then. Is this going to be an opportunity for Oliver Stone? Is he going to wake his chance? What's Tom Davidson going to do? Davidson is very much a driver who can nick something here. Davidson had a pretty strong, season so far. I think for now he has just got to try and make his own race. He's had a 4th and a 3rd, but he's had 11th and a DNF on the other side. But we know how good Davidson can be on his day. I think sitting in a really decent place again. Oliver Stone still having to look to the outside line. Sweeney just has to do something about that gap. He's got to try and break the toe at any means possible. But 4.4 seconds of gap is a huge margin to catch. Meanwhile, we're looking at Josh Hodson here. Hodson on the cusp here of 4th place. This is not just a battle for the top 10, but this is 4th and 5th in the amateurs. Josh Hodson trying to, just keep defensive, but he's got Holmes behind him. So that's something to keep an eye out for. Biggest gainer in the field, Bobby Moss is up 9 places. The driver in front there, the number 5, is seriously putting in a shift. Then you got him behind. That is that's Aiden Howard. We'll get on to him in just a moment, but here comes Zach Sweeney and Oliver Stone side by side. Down the crest they go. And again, that gap is just starting to extend to Janos Wenzel, because here comes Oliver Stone back up into the lead of the race with just over 6 2.5 minutes left to go of this one. Sweeney will be battling for all of his might. But will it be a second or a third, maybe even a fourth? Or will it be maybe a collision in the end? Here comes Tom Davidson. We thought Davidson would be able to get into the battle, and here he is exactly doing that. Sweeney on the brakes, locks that inside front, then still batting away. The rear of the car getting all sorts of wiggly as Sweeney drops to fifth. The toe was just so powerful that it's now seen Zach Sweeney, I think he's now starting to struggle with the tyres. We'll have to see if that becomes a thing for the rest of the drive, because as we said, it's super hot temperatures out here. So I imagine that this is going to be very much an interesting part to this one. Not long left in the race. Tom Davidson a little bit wide through 10. Now he wants to seize an opportunity. I think we should really be giving Tom Davidson a good go. He's just always had that first class ticket, but has never been able to really challenge for the front of these packs. Especially during a race like this, like tonight, where he wasn't able to get to the front of the first pack in the first race. Then, Tom Davidson now looks for the opportunity onto the outside, but again, Sweeney's putting his nose in, so he's got to be a little bit careful. Gap now 1.4 to Janos Wenzel. It's going to require a little bit of a miracle for this to become a four-car battle for the lead. But now off the corner of Hogpen and down towards turn number 8 in the start-finish line. Does Tom Davidson have the speed? Does he have the opportunity? Does he have the ambition of going for that second place? It's not going to be it's not going to be every day that you're heading for second place in such a competitive field. Some of the, I think, some of these drivers, especially Noah Osbaldiston, has competed in the British F4 Esports Championship. An incredibly amazing grid, which has the likes of Danny Moreno and all sorts of drivers. There's Thomas Lowe having a big old spin in front of Josiah Annis, and Annis has had a big old spin. Annis has gone into the back of him, but yeah, he's not going to be bothered too much about that. Look at Tom Davidson. He's got a real fishing rod hook onto the back of Oliver Stone. Where does he go in to attack his place now? Sweeney's just waiting his opportunity. A little bit wide for the pair of them, but that rear was starting to go there on Tom Davidson. Davidson now in the toe, but look at Sweeney. He's getting a double dose of this one. I wonder if he's backed off just to save a little bit of tyres. And the commentator will now look to see if he can maybe make his way on the outside line. There he heads, pops his nose out onto the outside line. Won't want to go in towards 50 unless he's left space, which is exactly what Tom Davidson has done. They're side by side. They're banging wheels are the two drivers. Davidson backs off, and I think now Sweeney has to go and max push this one, because there is a big opportunity. Meanwhile, Wenzel's gap has dropped significantly. Davidson to the outside line. This is not a sight that Zach Sweeney's going to be wanting to see. There's contact between the two, and Davidson's off. Tom Davidson had the opportunity of an overall podium, and it has turned into nothing. He has allowed Alex Richards to go through. It was 2.5 left on the clock. I'm sure Sweeney is, saying in his sim rig, why on earth are you doing that? Looking at the amateurs, Alex Richards continues to lead. Radford in 7th, Mason in 8th. Then you find Hodson in 4th in the class. And you've got Holmes, followed by Hayden Howard. Howard going for 6th in the amateur class. This should be his second best finish in the amateurs. Down through the S's section under the bridge. Is there a big opportunity here for Aiden Howard to get a joint best finish in the amateur class? Aiden Howard's best finish overall is currently a 14th place, and he is smashing it out of the park. So Holmes, it's Bobby Holmes at the moment. No, it's not. It's not Bobby Holmes, is it? Oh, I'm having my names confused. Yeah, basically there's a Fiesta driver called Bobby Holmes, and I had to shout him out on his birthday at some point over the circuit tannoys, and that's why I'm getting a little bit confused. It's Ben Holmes there, just trying to grab his first class ticket to the back of this battle for 9th place there. It is going to be Bobby Moss then and Hodson in 9th. It doesn't help that there's a Bobby in P11 and then there's a Bobby in P10 and a Holmes in P11. Side by side over line with 33 seconds left to go. Will Holmes be able to maybe make a move onto the outside line? Not quite on this part, but this is your battle for 9th, 10th and 11th. But for Holmes, he has to be really focused here, because there is a big opportunity that he can take another place in the amateur class and put himself into the top 10. So the clock hits down 3, 2, 1, and the clock has hit 0. This is the final lap of the race then. And there's going to be all sorts happening. Sweeney is half a second behind Stone. Tom Davison's still with the fastest lap of the race. Stone has managed to drop into the 49.9s. He's the only driver to do so other than Tom Davidson. So really strong stuff so far. But here we find Tom Davidson now repassing Alex Richards after his off in the earlier stages. But I think Janos Wenzel might be heading to the line in just a moment's time. So where is the German driver? Through he goes on towards Hogpen. It has been a season from hell for Janos Wenzel. Spa with a struggle. And now here in Virginia, it is the first win of the campaign for Janos Wenzel. It is unbelievable for the German driver. What a moment. What a moment. Oliver Stone will take second. Zach Sweeney third. It's Tom Davison in fourth with Alex Richards and Mason. With Radford in seventh. Rankin in eighth. Bobby Moss, I think, has lost fuel. I think Bobby Moss is running out of fuel right towards the line. And oh, just about makes it home in P11. Big shout out to Aiden Howard, up 10 places from his starting position. Moss will go up 12. There is Will Ellis. He's not even crossed the line yet. The AF Biscotti driver will, for sure, be a little bit frustrated, I feel. He could have had a good result, but of course got hit in the early stages. And now he has to try and rebuild himself. Here comes Tony Preston then to round off a good race. We will most definite, yeah, as I say, we will most definitely go through the results in just a moment. So that is it then. Let's bring up the full classification. It is Janos Wenzel on as your winner. Oliver Stone will finish home in second. Zach Sweeney for the Drive Lounge Racing Team in third. With Tom Davison in fourth and Alex Richards in fifth. Harry Mason will finish home in sixth place, followed by James Radford. Ian Ranking will be home in eighth. Of course, Richards, Mason, Radford, your top three in the amateurs. Ben Holmes and Josh Hodson finishing home in 9th and 10th. Bobby Moss up 12 places for him. He'll be happy with that, but it could have been more once he ran out of fuel right toward the end. Aiden Howard up 10. I think he'll be a happy interviewee if he decides to join us. And then it's Josiah Annis. a little bit more of a disappointing day for him. He would have hoped for a little bit more for the Drive Lounge Racing team, but he'll be trying to come back with a vengeance next time out. Then it'll be Thomas Lowe with Paul Smith for the Cracked Racing team, the AF Biscotti driver, Will Ellis, who got very hardly hit by one of the Denny Morris. It was in the early stages. Then it's Nick Clibbins and Tony Preston, Danny Morris, Noah Osbaldeston, a late retirement for Osbaldeston, and it's retirement for Lenny Hansen, Jay Walsh, and Cameron Homewood, your 23 drivers who finished, took part in this race, but we had a few DNS, but we will have some interviewees coming up for you in just a short moment, so don't go away. Well, we finally have our interviewees ready and waiting. We have Aidan Howard, Zach Sweeney, and Noah Osbaldeston. If they're some familiar names, yes, they did it last time at Spa-Francorchamps. So we will get those guys into the commentary box, ready for an interview. I'm sure we will be we'll be ready for Aidan Howard to get in here. Aidan, welcome in. You, it was a bit of a difficult start for you. It seemed like, it was just about trying to get into the rhythm of this circuit. How did you kind of, find trying to negotiate this Virginia International Circuit?
I braked, I turned, and I kept on the black stuff. That's all I can say. Basically, I don't even know where I finished race 2. I just drove my ass off.
Well, we'll talk about race 1 first of all, because you as you said, you steered, you drove the car, and unfortunately found found a tire barrier. Here it is,
yeah.
right on screen now.
Uh-oh, I'm watching. 2 secs. There you go. Yeah, pretty much. I think I've got YouTube on in the background as well. Actually, it was just an errant car going sideways, and it became a bit of a rolling roadblock, which I could not avoid. Yes, I've just seen it back on YouTube. That red, white, and yellow car of didn't get a number, but yes, race one was a bit of a write off, and then race two it was a lot more different. It was a lot more interesting. Well, 12th. Oh, I'll take that. Just seen that. We're doing your job for you.
I was gonna, I would, it would be nice to give you like the grand reveal, but you brought it upon yourself. But anyway, yeah, let's actually talk about that first race. You actually made it through the entire race on that one. Let's talk about the start. 'Cause you were right at the back. Were you expecting, another, carnage-filled first lap?
I It was an interesting start, to be fair. So I had to leave the lobby and then rejoin because my VR decided to stop tracking, and then jumped back in, just about pressed the go button just as the timer ran out to grid, and then got going, and then yeah. So even at that start of the race was just like, oh my god, okay, fine, just settle down now, just get going. And yeah, I think there was a couple of big shots, and I just avoided them basically. And a couple of cars I was seeing rejoin, I was going, yep, that's another position, that's another position, I'll take it. And yeah, I just kept it pointing in the right direction. I was a little bit, to be fair, I was a little bit gutted at the end because there was a good fight with a couple of a couple of TSRC lads and my teammate in a three-way battle. I think at that point was 11th, 10th, and 9th, and up ahead of me, but I couldn't keep up with them, unfortunately. But good on them for fighting. Congratulations to my teammate as well for a good finishing as well.
Yeah, indeed. It's just seemed like you are, you're growing every single time you get in one of these cars. How would you kind of see that from your viewpoint?
It's nice. As I said, things out as I always say to you, things out of control. Don't let phase me. You know that lap one, race one incident was just unfortunate luck. And again in race one, I then forgot to put the pit limiter on after I towed, and I got a stop go with another 40 seconds. I was like, well, that's that done then. That's gonna be a learning race. And then yeah, suddenly found pace, and I was in the 52s and setting the odd 51s. So yes, it was a lot more better than I was doing for the 53s that I was doing. But then as soon as I heard leaders doing 50s, and then I think the fastest lap at one point was set by P5 49.9, I'm like, yeah, right, sure, cool. I know my place. But it was fun. It was fun regardless. So yeah, again, next week is a double header, a bit of a different one with the two separate tracks and because of the delayed rounds, and with Heatwave and iRacing doing iRacing things. And yeah, so on to next week and have a good finishing there.
Yeah, indeed. Are you looking forward to the next? Well, I say the next race. Well, we're technically doing two races in one night. So, how is that kind of coming to you? Is that something you're interested in? Is that something that you're quite intrigued about? How do you kind of see it?
I like to think it settles the field a little bit because no one's going to be wanting to practice the two separate tracks at the same time. Like when you get a track like this, you can just grind it basically and just practice on one. Having the two different ones, I think might shake up a little bit, but I'll be ready for it. I'm always ready for a good open wheel race. So yeah, so with the two race tracks that we have got to go into last week, Suzuka and I should know this. What's the other one? Humour me. It is
Montreal.
Montreal. Thank you. Um, I saw the last chicane. I was thinking the wall. Got to avoid. We've got wall. Yeah, that. Yes, Montreal. Anyway, yes, two different circuits, and that might shake things up a little bit, which will be fun to see. So I'm all for it. I can't wait.
Ah, amazing. Just before I let you go, is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
Usual. oNiD Racing, with all our sponsors, Ben22, Kadan Computers, Racing Stronger, SimGrid as well. It's a pleasure to run the livery and be part of the team, and also thank you for TSRC for the wonderful partnership we've had this season. We've got one more week to go, and I do believe, have more stuff in the pipeline. Sharpie's doing the cameras tonight, so I do hope that I haven't shot myself in the foot there. But yeah, watch this space. I'd say looking forward to it.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Aidan, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I will see you actually on Tuesday because, of course, we work together.
Yes, we do.
Um,
Yes, and
it's-
it's always a pleasure. I'll be sure to annoy you with my Arnold impersonations. Don't you worry. I was a little bit left.
Yeah.
I didn't do it enough this Tuesday, so you have a bit more from me.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Have a wonderful evening,
Yeah.
guys. Thanks so much, and speak soon.
Eden Howard there. What a character he is. Always a joy working with him. Next up, we got a Mrs. Zach Sweeney. Welcome into the box. Wow, you've had an adventurous night of racing, haven't you?
Yeah, how's it going? I mean, I didn't even know I was going to be racing tonight. I thought was meant to have plans, and then we sort of pushed them back so I could race just for a bit of banter. Um, Pace wasn't where I wanted it. Again, we're racing on the surface of the sun, which is always fantastic. So the tires were just always dead. Particularly on traction, it's very difficult. So it's almost a case of sacrifice your fronts just to slip them because you can't oversteer if you're understeering. Results wise, pretty happy with P3 and P3. Qualifying, I bottled completely. Probably could have put it P3 maximum, maybe matched Ollie if I really hooked it up. But yeah, ultimately tonight, no, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, kind of talk about some of the battling around this circuit because you were very much right last time out. We spoke about it and we you said that it was going to be a tow circuit. Kind of how are you kind of going into these battles with other cars? 'Cause there were also multiple times we had to go three wide. Talk us through some of those.
It's quite difficult as a driver who sort of prides himself on having some pretty good racecraft, relative to some of the others who we were racing against, who I definitely wouldn't say that that's their strong point, truthfully. I mean, race one, it was difficult. I wanted to stay with Noah and Ollie. I mean, through the middle sector, I just didn't think Janos had the pace to stay with him, so I wanted to be the one to lead the charge. And again, stay in their toe. We needed about 0.7, and then as soon as you start battling, then you just drop out the toe, and that's that. And then I don't know why people decide to put the anchors on from lap one. It's interesting. Ultimately, I'm not going to Brad Philpott it. It's a race, so I'm not going to complain about people racing me in a race. But just a little bit more intelligence would have been appreciated. Thankfully, Noah stuck it on the white line, true British champ style. So we were able to close back in, but it was it wasn't easy. And then with Ollie again, once I'd got there, Ollie is a class lad. I love him to bits. I think he's a quality driver. So I knew we were going to keep it clean. There were a couple of times we were side by side through T1, which is difficult in of itself. We were side by side all through the first sector, so I think it just shows that it is possible when you're racing against someone who is sort of on a similar wavelength to you. And then race two, I mean, again, it's just the AMs that for a 25-minute race think they can stick it on the white line on lap one and get away with it. And truthfully, again, they're not. Um, and that's not to say anything bad about them. It's just the way the race is going to play out, right? The earlier you stick the anchors on, the more people you involve in the battle, the more people you've got to defend from, and then it's just that positive feedback loop of you constantly getting overtaken, cycle to the back, and for a lot of them, ultimately, just completely picked up and thrown off the circuit. So maybe a bit more risk management would have been appreciated for the rest of the grid, to be honest. But from my side, to walk away with P3 and P3 with the pace that I had in quali, I'm not over the moon with it, but I'm not completely miffed by it in the slightest. Very happy with it. I think maybe in an ideal world, maybe P2 and P1, race two and race one and race two was possible. Again, Janos just got away at the start when everyone else was dropping the anchors, so he was able to build a bit of a gap, and there wasn't really much that me and Ollie could do, especially with Tom lingering over our shoulder. So yeah, I think we maximized what we could have. Obviously, would have been nice to get a little bit more if things went our way, though.
Yeah, I definitely think there are some definite positives you can take away from what I think was a bit of tricky second race, but you've constantly showed pace all throughout both races. Just that you're always kind of hoping for a 1-2 because you work with Noah so well. You're constantly developing with each other. But talk me through some of the positive that you feel that you can take from this one.
Uh, I had a laugh, I guess. To be
True.
honest, I've got some good cardio done. Ultimately, I'm not a sim racer, right? Like, Noah most definitely is, and he's a great teammate to have, and helping run Drive Lounge Racing. It's a joy, but it's obviously not my main thing. So my focus absolutely is on my motorsport commentary stuff, and that's my career. So by no means am I a sim racer. It's just a passion. It's a bit of a laugh. I can have a bit of a pod around. It's just a good thing that okay at it on certain occasions at certain tracks, and can mix it up with some really fun guys. So yeah, positive wise, I had a lot of fun, and racing Ollie in race one was quality. And again, me and Noah, we're laughing our behinds off the entirety of race one, especially when he starts sticking it on the white line. So yeah, there's always that to take from it. Racing development aside, I think over 2026 alone, particularly since I bought my rig in April, I've made some huge steps forward as a driver in terms of raw pace. I think mentally it's very similar in terms of my progression, but pace wise it has just been mega, and Noah is a big part of that. So yeah, positives to take absolutely, but always want a little bit more, especially when when we know that we can go and do it, and ultimately just some silly decisions from other people sort of deny us that, I suppose.
Yeah, very true. I could have asked you this weekend, but I'll ask you since you're here now. Are you going to be here for the next weekend? Or not?
No. Yeah, so I've been so busy all year. I mean, start of the year I was back and forwards to Italy, to Germany and Spain for WSK and Rotax, and then the year picked up and it was UKC, it was mini bikes, it's been obviously this weekend, Formula E. So very, very busy, and I thought I'd treat myself, and me and my family are going to treat ourselves to a week at Centre Park. So yeah, as soon as I finish the race on Sunday at Formula E, crown our champion, I'm on the train, I'm home, I'm packed, and I'm off to Centre Parks in the morning. So I'm not going to be here next week, but neither's Noah, actually. Noah's not going to be here. He'll talk to you about that in a minute. But yeah,
Nice.
Ollie, expectations are on, mate. If you do not dominate next week, why even call yourself 8K? Like, just go back to rookies, buddy.
I love how you're already calling out to Ollie. Final thing from me. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, Drive Lounge Racing, as always. Thanks for the delivery. Thanks for the support, and again the platform to deliver. Thanks to everyone here at the Sim Racing Collective for all of their efforts. It's always a laugh. Love coming back and racing. And again, great memories with these guys from my very early days commentating. So it's nice to be on the grid and on the other side of it. And obviously to Noah and Josiah as teammates again, they're smashing it. So yeah, they're a very good week overall. Thanks for having us, and see you when we see you.
Well, I'll be seeing you this weekend, mate. But yeah, all the
Try and find me,
best.
mate. Good luck. I wish you luck.
Oh, I'm sure I'll catch you on the way out. But
All right, mate. In a bit.
take care. Zach Sweeney then. But now we go on to what I like to call the chatty man, Noah Osbaldeston. Welcome into the box. It was a bit of an up and down weekend for you, but kind of talk me through the first race, because that was a great showing on your behalf.
Yeah, pace was really good for race one. We had set up from a good qualifying, stuck it on pole by, I think it was a decent margin. So I knew I had the pace advantage going into it. And after a good few clean laps in race one, I'd realised that sort of Oliver had broken away with me, but it left Zach in a really awkward position. So I just started, defending Oliver, trying to push him back into Zach, but doing it fairly and cleanly, and it kind of worked because it got Zach back in the fight. But yeah, so that was sort of what race one was, and unfortunately it didn't quite work. But I worked as hard as I could to get Zach the best opportunity to make that happen. But unfortunately it didn't quite happen in race one.
Yeah, it seemed like you were working really, really well. How is that chemistry with Zach, mainly on the racetrack?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, even off the track, me and Zach are, we work fantastically together. We've been all sorts of to do with Drive Lounge. We've been at Drive Lounge Norwich regularly every Tuesday for training. We've been down to the Westwood venue in London doing the podcast and stuff together in the past, doing lots of filming. So even off track it's fantastic, and on track it's just as good as well. We work really well together as a team. We work really well together, sort of figuring out strategies, looking at data, and overall I think the chemistry is really, really strong. And out of all the people that I could choose as my teammate across an entire platform of drivers, Zach is definitely an S tier teammate.
Yeah, indeed. I was also asking him about, how is it battling cars? And I want to ask you the same question, but just because, it must be really, really difficult around this circuit.
I mean, yeah, a lot of the time, the more experienced drivers know how to race around here because although there's a tight circuit, these F4 cars aren't exactly small. But when you get when the front row is best conceived of, I mean, what I think it was 3,000 iRacing shared the front row in race 2. There's always going to be crashes when you got plum sacks on the grid that don't know how to race. So unfortunately, things get a bit messy, and that's kind of what let me down in race 2 was a really good start again. First 2 laps, fantastic start, and then I just again going into I think it was turn 4. We had can't actually remember who it was, but yeah, it was. I think it was Nick. Yeah, Nick Clibbens just braking in the middle of the circuit. I mean, and then just drove into the back of him. So to be honest, it was. I don't really know what he was expecting there. My car was fairly okay. I got a meatball flag, but it's just I didn't really care at that point. My race was ruined. But yeah, then again tried to settle back into a bit of a rhythm. Got back up towards the middle of the pack again with back up to Zach and Oliver. Um, working together really well. Those overtakes were really, really solid. Working together, lots of racecraft, lots of working with different drivers, not just with Zach Sweeney, but with Oliver Stone as well. And then it was Harry Mason just decided he didn't want to race me anymore and completely right hand downed me. So that was the end of that race. And again, tried to pick myself back up again, got back into the fight, started to plow some laps together, and that basically was my race too.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate, but is there anything you feel that you can bring a positive, you can bring through as a positive?
Yeah, I think the positive is I've learned a lot to not trust AMs when it comes to racecraft at the front. That is definitely a really positive lesson. So when I come back to it in hopefully next week, I'm not too sure. I know how to approach the race differently from the back of the pack. So lessons learned, and me and Zach both go away with more knowledge than we did previously. So again, that is kind of the positives. We've learned lessons, and fingers crossed, coming into future rounds, we can apply what we've learned and go onwards and upwards.
Yeah, I think that's you've really you've been really really strong all over the course of the season, because also Zach said you thought you weren't going to be here.
Yeah. So the next week, not sure if I was gonna make it. I'm still not sure because the plan's holiday. I need to find out that. At the minute, it's not looking too good. But then again, it's I'm here for fun. I'm not here to take this thing like the holy gospel and too seriously. And at the end of the day, Sharpie's put on a fantastic series for this. So big up Sharpie, and the race has been fantastic. I think today was a bit different compared to Spa. The track temperature was a little bit too cold. I think we weren't really having to use tyre wear. I think we can definitely be bumping the track temperature up for future races. But yeah, I think overall we've had great fun, and it's been another banging TSRC series as they normally do. So no complaints really from me across the season, and fingers crossed we come back for a season 2 not in the not too distant future.
Final thing from me, anyone you'd like to shout out, take the floor.
Yeah, just huge thanks to Drive Lounge. It was really, really well prepared from everyone. Shout out to Josiah as well, who although didn't have the best weekend, tried his absolute best, and that's really what counts. Yeah, just huge thanks to all those guys, and wanted to say thanks to Sharpie as well for putting on a fantastic season so far. It's been really, really good fun, and the whole of the TSRC group. Again, they put in so much effort to get these series up and running, and now I've started running my own series. I do understand how much effort it takes to run these events. So huge thanks to everyone in TSRC involved, and fingers crossed, like I say, we come back for a season 2.
Indeed, I'll hopefully be on the microphone for that one. But Noah, go and enjoy your evening. I'm sure Zach's going to be texting you very very soon. He can't seem to get away from you.
Cool. Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care then. So there we go. That is our 3 interviewees done and dusted, and that ends our race here at the Virginia International Raceway. Of course, you can catch us next week as we head to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for round 5 of the championship, and then we head to Suzuka for the finale, all on the same night. So that's it. That's going to be it then. We now reach our final part of the season to conclude our champion of the TSRC X oNiD iR-04 sprint. So from myself, Adam Reed and Sharpie in production, we will see you in a week's time to crown a champion. Take care. Good night.